Once upon a time, there was a boy named Chris Atageka, born in a small village in Uganda. Every day, he tinkered with whatever broken gadget he could find, dreaming of building things that worked. And one day, tragedy struck. He lost both his parents and became an orphan. Because of that, he was thrust into a world where survival came before dreams. Because of that, he was given a chance by Yes Uganda, a non-profit that helps kids go to school and stay in school and believe again. Until finally, Chris made it to the United States, earned 2 engineering degrees from UC Berkeley, built companies to help others, and returned to give back to the same kinds of kids he once was, proving that sometimes the best things you build are people.
Welcome to A Life Worth Working, a podcast about how we get to the soul of work.
We're your hosts, Dana Allen Walsh and Michelle Weiss. I'm the senior pastor of a progressive church, and Michelle is a writer on the future of education and work.
And as always, we love hearing your comments, questions, and thoughts. So please know you can email us at any time at hello@alifeworthworking.com.
Please make sure you subscribe to our show, give it all the stars, and share it with your friends and loved ones who may be searching for more meaning in their work lives.
In this episode, we chat with engineer, entrepreneur, and author Chris Atageka.
Most kids who are born on the African continent tend to find themselves in one or two camps. One camp where parents can keep records or have records of some kind, but majority of people do not have records of when they were born, and that was not any different for me. So I didn't know the time when I was born or the year I was born. So then I didn't also know the timing for when my parents died. But the essence was around when I was 7 or 8. And when my parents died, I found myself kind of spiraling in this effects of all the things that come with extreme poverty, eating out of, garbage if you can, sleeping outside sometimes, but also meeting so many wonderful people along the way who believe, and some of them are relatives and others are strangers, and that's kind of what got me to be here.
Did your parents pass away just from an illness or?
Yeah, I mean, my parents passed away in the early 90s, which is kind of, at the time, there was not a whole lot of knowledge about the illness, but as time went on, it got to be known as HIV/AIDS. When my parents passed, there was like a very long period of about 8 years that was very, very rough, navigating through life, mostly survival. And then when I was about 15, somebody, kind of community member who has known of me, had seen me through my many different community volunteer projects or other engagements, and took an interest in me. But he had, 5 or 6 of his own kids, so he didn't really have the resources to help me personally, but he did really keep an eye out for what is possible out there. And one day he came across a nonprofit that helps orphans, and he drove his motorcycle to a village very far and found me. I was grazing cows, and he told me he found a nonprofit that is helping send orphans to school and earn an education. And at first I didn't quite believe that was happening, but anyway, we made our way to the nonprofit, and then the nonprofit is run by a woman named Carol Adams. She's from Hawaii. She moved to Uganda when she was 50 and tried to go out there and do something positive for the world. And started this orphanage to help kids. And I happened to be one of the lucky recipients. And, asked me later about how that journey has also evolved and has its own loop of its own, which is fascinating. But yeah, so she sponsors me in Uganda, but the way they receive their money, it comes from American families that send dollars over there and they get paired with an orphan. And that's how the family in California was sponsoring me through this nonprofit for many years. And that's how I eventually ended up in America through their support.
That's amazing that community member knew how to find you, found you, made that trek out to get you. I mean, what amazing, just what a godsend, right?
I mean, people call it, there's so many different words that describe moments like that. There's energies in the universe out there that are really working on our behalf when we don't even know that's happening. Yeah.
Powerful. So, Chris, you go from grazing cows to then being sponsored through Yes Uganda to go to school in Uganda and then school in the United States. Can you walk us through your educational journey?
Yeah, so I went through school in Uganda, did really well. It's a British system, so we kind of do a national exam at the end. They call it the A levels. So the whole country does this one exam, similar to an SATs equivalent. And then you pass that, you qualify to go to college. So I did really well at that stage. And the way this particular program works, you end up going to trade school right after that. So you can learn something tangible to support your family. For me, because the family had really taken up interest in me through many, many years of supporting me and many years of going back and forth, back in the day when letters were still a thing.
Yeah. So
before they weren't extinct. We were writing back and forth, and they were sending me like a picture every Christmas and a story of their lives every Christmas. My Martha and the woman in the family was very instrumental in keeping up that communication to inform me of their lives as I informed them of mine. And eventually, after I finished high school, they were like, okay, if you get the paperwork, we'll send you to college in America.
Wow.
So the paperwork was the hard part. So kind of getting the visa, and I came into the US as an international student. So started really humble beginning, working hard. And one component I want to point out at that particular stage in my life, I was driven a lot by fear. There was so much fear of disappointment. Like, I fear that if I screw this up, I would disappoint a lot of people, including this family has put so much faith and their resources to bring me here. There was so much fear of me like doing something wrong, like maybe get drunk and get arrested or something. So it was so much on the edge and working so hard, focused on the books. And I did really well when I went to engineering school at UC Berkeley. When I graduated, I was also among the best in my class, and I was the student speaker at graduation. So that was a really big milestone, like a giant stadium with thousands of people. But yeah, so that was another milestone, graduating from college.
Would you say there was a transformation at some point in college or after of you noted being driven by fear? Did that change at all or shift?
Um, I don't think it shifted. It just took different forms. Because the original fear was around losing the opportunity, right? Like you're gonna do something and you mess this up, and you cannot mess this up. Of course, you're looking back where you're coming from. You definitely don't want to go back in that kind of pain where you're coming from. But then as you move forward, the motivation of fear shifts in a different form. So you're no longer running from the bear anymore, but there is other expectations of achieving as and be a successful adult. So then it's like it shifts and it takes a different form.
Chris, I heard one of your TED Talks where you talked about how you get your passport and you're sleeping with it, and then you go and bury it in the backyard, and then you're even afraid of that, and you bring it back in, right? like that real tangible fear of like, this can be taken away.
Anytime, and even the current moments we're living in the current politics, it's just so many people's, one day they have one life and the next day it's totally changed. So can't take it for granted.
Right. Yeah. But that's also exhausting, I imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm curious, just as you describe that sort of intense fear that the fear of messing up. I was just interviewing a young woman who came out of real poverty in the United States and ended up at Harvard. And when she was graduating, she felt like she had to forgo any sort of sense of passion or desire for a certain kind of role and had to make a more practical decision for the sake of stability, for that sense of survival. Did you feel like you had to make certain trade-offs? Or were you, with that, was it turning into sort of like a kind of scarcity mindset or anything that was transforming the way you looked at opportunities?
Talk to any immigrant. That is true and alive. And the reason is just that most cultures, when you raise your head above water, you are expected to be the lifeline for everyone else. It starts with your immediate family and then the village. So the village is very broad. It doesn't, it's your relatives, it's your cousins, and then it's the neighbors, and so on and so forth. So when you raise your head above water and you have, let's say, a life raft, you have like this good job and you're making money, then there's like people pulling on that raft. And if you're not careful, you could end up drowning with them. So you have to figure out how you navigate with your raft, the one you have, and how you can make that be more abundant for everyone else. So similar to the person you're having a conversation with, the whole reason I went to engineering school, I was considering being a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, not because I passionately love these things. I was genuinely looking at a paycheck, looking at like how much money I could make with this profession versus that profession. And I went to engineering school twice to continue to increase my, pay capabilities. And eventually I just turned into an entrepreneur, and now I'm a writer. So it's like the true self eventually came out, but it just started with that, kind of trend of thought where you're thinking safety, security for yourself and loved ones. So it's true for most immigrants.
Tell us about that process of how the true self comes out of you as an entrepreneur and an author that moved from engineering school into the work you're doing now.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege to live your true self.
Yeah.
It's very, very cocky of anyone to stand on any platform and say, just be yourself. And there are so many people who would love to be themselves, but they can't. They do not have that privilege to be themselves. You have to wake up and let's say your job is to scrape plates at some fast food restaurant and have to be there at 5, and you work your full day. You got to go pick up the kids. By the time you make dinner for them, you're like exhausted. You crash, you wake up the next day, go do the same thing again. Tell that person, just be yourself. It's not realistic for majority of the people. And it was not the same for me either, where I worked my way in this kind of survival mode, and I earned myself the privilege to be like, what is really important to me? And that's how I've been able to transition to work on the things I actually love and care about.
Tell us more about those projects. What were you doing as an entrepreneur, and you've written a lot of books. What has been spurring the author in you?
Oh, the author in me is basically, it's therapy for me. I genuinely wake up. I have a morning routine. I do 7 things. And when I'm done with those 7 things, the 7th thing is writing. And I write for 1 hour every day. And by the time the year goes by, I have a book. But all the writing, it's everything that I wish I knew, or it's kind of like a reflection back on myself and giving myself advice or self-help, if you will.
Yeah. Tell us about your newest book, because you're talking about soul in the age of machine, right?
Yes. So the book is called Return to Human. And the title is really trying to inspire the idea that we are living in this world of and the machine is with a capital M. I don't mean like a specific tool or a specific thing. It's just we are kind of in this hamster wheel that has to do with capitalism. It has to do with our algorithms, like everything you go throughout the day is now being filtered through the algorithmic machine. We build systems that initially were designed to serve us, but somehow we've lost that, and we think we built them and we thought we're in charge, and now the systems are in charge of us. And as a consequence, have you ever tried to like sign up for something and then the robot asks you to prove that you're human?
Yes.
Right? And yet we built the robot. Now we need to prove ourselves that we're not a robot. But yeah, so Return to Human is kind of tapping to that energy. Like, what does it mean to be human? We are coming at a point where there's going to be a crisis of purpose. And that's because if a robot can do it better, what are humans for? And then people start digging inside, asking themselves, like, what am I really here for? There are some jobs like engineer, programmer, doctor, lawyer, like we thought, like, yeah, that's a solid thing. Go to school, spend your 4-8 years studying that thing, come on the other side, you're going to make big bucks. And now, like, literally a robot can do it in seconds. And you have a whole generation of young people going through school, and they're going to come out the other side with a job that a machine can do better. And now they have to figure out, okay, who am I and what am I good for? That's what Return to Human is trying to get at.
Do you think you have a solid sense of what your purpose is?
Yes.
And has that informed how you've gotten to where you are through that clarity of purpose?
I wouldn't say informed where I got where I am, but it is informing where I go next. Because my next stage of life, I'm so joyful in the way I'm building, and I'm having so much fun because there is a North Star. Initially, like I touched on a few minutes ago, the idea of fear and trying to perform and kind of navigating through the initial stages of my life was not so much of a choice. There was so much of an imposition from the circumstances. But as I've gotten to this stage of my life, I feel like I've done a lot of work internally to kind of understand who I am. And it's a work in progress, never going to arrive, but always work on the self. And then I have also externally worked on the things that I truly believe it's like, okay, this is my North Star. So everything I touch, I kind of have to weigh it against the North Star. Is it feeding the purpose? And there's another component to that, which has to do, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the term survivor's remorse. It's some people who go through some tragedy, like a plane crashes, everyone dies, and you're the only one who survives. And then you start asking yourself, like, why me? Like, why did I become this lucky out of all the people that survived this plane crash? And that feeds a lot into how I navigate the world moving forward.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your North Star?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for asking. My North Star. So I spent a lot of time taking different courses. There was a course at the Harvard Kennedy School. There's a gentleman named Bill George. I don't know if you know him. He's amazing. He wrote the book Finding the True North. And there was another course, gentleman named Ryan Ellis, called Hive. And then there's another one called Landmark. So I did all of those in a way of like trying to like who am I? Like who? And then eventually took the best pieces out of those and kind of created a little module for myself. And now I share with friends to kind of help them think through their own life purpose. But when I landed, it all came down to this one sentence: make a difference in one person's life a day. Just one. And I don't go around with a notepad. I'm like, okay, today it's 4, tomorrow is 15, I could go, and it takes different forms. It could be a product or service that I create. It could be a conversation. It could be literally like handing someone $1. It could be content, like writing a book or something that someone finds valuable. So I don't go around noting down how many people I had an impact on, but as I navigate with an intention, as I go through the world and ask myself, did I do that today? And yeah, that's all I go for. It's one is achievable, and the reason I don't want to say billion is because you gotta crawl before you walk
That's right.
before you run before you fly. If I do one a day and I live to be 100, I got another 60 years to do one a day.
Yeah.
That's all. It's all that matters.
When I just think back on that 8 years between your parents' death and finding Yes Uganda, did you already have that sense of hope and faith then when you were just trying to survive? Like, you mentioned that there were moments of joy and beauty when people would show you kindness. Was it that kind of kept you going? Like, how did you, it's probably hard to remember, but like, how did you think about that time?
I think if I was to pinpoint one thing that helped me navigate hard times over the years, I actually gave it a term. It's called positude. It's positive attitude. So you're gonna get, and it's positude, and hopefully I can get into the dictionary someday.
There you go.
Positude. What positude does? So you're gonna get pushed in the corner. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna cry and and the tears will dry up, but the problem doesn't go away. And then the question becomes, okay, what's within my control.
Mhm.
So always trying to find a thing that's within your control and what can you do about it.
Mhm.
You could get stuck on all the things that are shitty in the
Mhm.
world, and why your situation is so bad. But there's so many people and circumstances, like there are really bad people out there who do not care. They don't care if they're inflicting this pain on you. They don't care. So you could focus on that, and that will create like this roommate that lives in your head rent free, eating you up. Or you could decide and figure out what's within my control and what is positive about this, and then take that and just run with it.
So, Chris, we have this question we ask our guests about a moment of stuckness in life. And we use the metaphor often of what is a shitty thing that's happened to you and how shit can become the manure for good things to grow. And so we're curious if you could name a shitty experience you've had that has led to growth in your life.
I would. How many shits can I give?
I know, with your 8 years of wandering without parents, like there's a lot to choose from. But
yeah, no, it is. I think it's a fracture with my wife that allowed me to face myself. So there's a component of, I don't know if you guys have read the book, The Attachment Theories.
Yes.
Where you kind of, some people are secure attachers, and some people are avoidant, and some people are anxious attachers. And the idea, like, depending on how you were raised and your childhood experiences, you find yourself in a space where things are happening, like how you're responding to the world, but you don't know why you're responding the way you're responding. And then, my wife and I got this space of like really having a hard time communicating, and it like clicked of all the things that I have had to navigate and all the things she's had to navigate, to start slowly figuring out like, what is that child that is coming here right now and making the situation feel unsafe. And the gift of and the privilege of exploration. There's this idea where you find yourself in that shitty situation or in the shitty corner, and you want to run out of that corner and go to the other corner. That has been the tool for my entire survival. It's just like, this doesn't feel good, doesn't feel safe, I'm out. I go somewhere else to kind of find solace and figure out what to do next. But as a consequence, there's like a geography of migration. You're moving from point A to point B. But the reality is there needs to be an internal migration where you have to face whatever the thing you are trying to run from, but the reality is you're actually bringing it with you the next place you go. Anyway, so the gift and the privilege there was to really get to that space of trying to face the self.
Were you able to do that together as a couple? Or did that journey of reflection take you on separate paths?
Still work in progress.
Yes.
I will report.
Yes.
Back.
Yes.
thank you for sharing.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that's also great that you were able to learn about the attachment theory in order to understand, in the moment what was happening.
Yep, it is fascinating if you kind of allow yourself to go there, because the ego sometimes gets in the way. Like, me? No, I am great. You with a problem.
Right.
So long as you're able to face the ego, then you're on the path to somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So lovely. Thank you. I think we are good. Is there anything you wish we had asked you, Chris?
Yeah, maybe my favorite quote.
Please. Yes.
It goes like this. All weather is passing.
What does that mean to you?
It's just like you find yourself in a hard time right now, or even how shitty the world is right now. And sometimes you feel helpless and you feel the world is literally coming to an end. And sometimes it is for you on an individual level. But if you can look within and try to find, so there are these two things I call like hope and faith. They're kind of like two friends gotta stick with us. So hope is very internal. So you use all your energy to summon hope and be like, I'm gonna be hopeful, I'm gonna be positive, this is gonna be great. But if you're like being stabbed and tortured, like hope does not really do too well in that situation. So you need to rely on the cousin who is faith and believing that there's some other energy in the universe that is at work for you without even knowing that's at work, and it will be better. And having those two friends with you at most times, it can help you navigate hard times. And the quote, all weather is passing, it really could like literally mean the weather. It's like it's raining and it's going to shine. Or it could literally mean like this metaphorical stage in life where you find you're like, highs are really high and you're like really excited, but know that, the reason you feel high right now is because probably you were low before that. And the vice versa is true. If it feels really, really low, where you're like in the bottom, the bottom of the pit, it's not gonna stay permanent. All weather is passing. Yeah, I love that.
Is there anything really left to say?
What an incredible life Chris Atageka has had.
I know, and he's so young.
It's unfathomable, the childhood he endured and the luck to catch the eye of a family man who cared enough to drive so many miles on a motorcycle to place him in a better circumstance.
Thank goodness he wasn't left to wander the fields, orphaned and homeless. Instead, we have a person who strives to go deeper to make a difference in the world.
This has been another episode of A Life Worth Working.
She's Dana Allen Walsh.
And she's Michelle Weiss.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends and loved ones who may also be searching for more meaning and purpose in their work lives, or what we call the soul of work.